Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk. Bei mir, wenn ich in Vancouver bin, schaue ich, wenn möglich und wenn der Garth auch Zeit hat, bei ihm vorbei. Und gerade dieses Mal ist es extrem wichtig, weil es hat vor 2 Wochen eine News gegeben, die den Markt ziemlich getroffen hat. Wir haben das auch schon mal bei uns im SI natürlich verarbeitet, ist ganz klar. Ich habe damals schon gesagt, es ist nicht wirklich ein Beinbruch, es kostet nur Geld, das Ganze zu fixieren. Und vor allem, was das Wichtigste ist, es ist ja nicht der Play an sich gefährdet, sondern es sind halt nur es hat Probleme gegeben halt bei zwei Bohrungen, die natürlich auch entstanden sind durch eine sehr innovative Technologie, die sie nutzen. Aber er kann uns das sicher mehr erklären, weil da fehlt mir auch die Knowledge dazu. Garth, thank you for your time, especially at this time. 2 weeks ago, a news release is coming out that hits really badly the market. I say to my subscribers, and I must say I have a conflict of interest. I'm a shareholder. It's one of or even not the biggest share position what I have. So I have really personal interest. And it was really bad time the last 2 weeks. And I get a lot of calls and emails from my subscribers. And I say to them, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that this whole Montany play is a bad play. It means only that you use technology and there was some problems by this technology. But you can explain it much, much better than I. So what was really the problem? Can you fix this problem, and what cost to fix the problem?
Great question. Thank you, Joe, for coming over on a Sunday. I apologize if I'm...
I thank you for you that you have time on Sunday, but this was the only time when we can set up.
Absolutely, and I'm honored to have you here and be able to speak to my investors in Europe in regards to this. Number one, can we fix this technology? What happened was Blackbird installed a system into the wellbore that has sleeves installed throughout the wellbore, and we open these sleeves with a collet that pumps down, matches up with a specific sleeve, and it opens up. About 10 to 15% of the wellbore was completed, no issues at all. As we moved towards the heel, the collets that landed in the sleeves would engage, and then as we pressured up, they would come out. And what had happened was the pressures we were pumping into the wellbore and the concentration of sand eroded the shoulder of these sleeves, which is unique for the metal that we used. It's a softer metal. Stage had never had this problem in 2 other types of sleeves that are made out of a much harder metal, and so it's unique to Blackbird. We're disappointed it's occurred. We believe in all 3 wells, but let's talk about the cost. Mm-hmm. First off, we brought in a camera and we actually went into the wellbore, inspected the well. The well is not split. It's not there that it cannot be recompleted. We can go in and we can recomplete it 2 different methods, a braze-jet or plug and perf. So the well bores are intact and we can go after and recomplete these wells.
So this is the good news.
Very good news. And on a cost basis, we believe the exposure to the Blackbird shareholders is about $4.5 million.
So that means, so only to calculate it, the damage, I would say the damage is $4.5 million. That's cost to recomplete it.
Yeah.
But the share value, what going down is around 100 million.
Yeah, it was a complete disjointed reaction. I think the world was reacting from the standpoint, oh my God, this doesn't work. Well, within that news release, we actually said that, by the way, Stage is doing extremely well. They sold about $16 million worth of sleeves in the first half of May. They've got 2 sleeves that are working extremely well. One that actually has been developed for a Middle Eastern client that more information will come out. This is a very high intensity completion sleeve that we've developed. It will work for Blackbird. We'll get those sleeves for free on our next well if we choose, and we can use a wire line to engage it to confirm it's working all the way through the wellbore, or we can go to plug and perf. But the dollar exposure is $4.5 million, we estimate. Now that's management's estimate. That's about what we're exposed. So we lost about $100 million in market cap, and it's about a $4.5 million cost exposure. Now, markets always overreact, and when the market was selling, there were buyers there buying, and we actually think that it's been a tough 2 weeks, but there's also been a real stability. And we see kind of a retail sell-off and an institutional buy is what we see really happened. I was out on the road in Eastern Canada and then in Eastern United States. I spoke to a number of institutions, walked them through this. And one of the big questions, Joe, that came up is, this doesn't sound material. 4.5 million. You could have probably just buried this. You could have put this in the management discussion on a quarterly. And I said, no, we can't. We have to be transparent. We're an early adopter of this technology. It will potentially reduce our costs substantially, but we can't cover up a failure. We need to be able to speak to companies about that failure.
One question: Do you want to use this system also by the other drills? What you are doing in the next time?
We will likely have the sleeves installed on our next well. We'll get the sleeves completely for free. Mm-hmm. We can use it and test it. And what I mentioned to you earlier is a wire line that we send the collet down, engage it in the sleeve, open it up, and if the collet doesn't stay there and it pops through, the wire line will actually tell us that it's not engaged. We can immediately go to plug and perf. Because that's the nice thing is these well bores are such a large internal diameter, this system doesn't interfere with going to plug and perf. Now, we would love to be able to use this system. We believe it will in the future. As we've seen, Stage just announced on Thursday this last week, they did 117 stage completion in the Eagle Ford for a very, very large company. It was confirmed as being successful. So we know those sleeves, which are of a heavier metal or stronger metal, work perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I recommend in my discussion what I have. It looks like that the metal was not strong enough to hold this pressure and rip it off and done. So. But I will not talk too much about the problems. The big point is that the problem can fixed, cost 4.5 million, and this is a done deal. So, but you have a lot of money. In the meantime, from our last interview to them, you make a really big private placement. So you have now a lot of money. What are you doing with them?
Well, first off, Blackbird actually did the largest capital raise in TSX venture history. Institutionally, it was pretty much an institutional round, both within Canada, the United States, and Europe. It was completely consumed. It was oversold. What was critical was that we needed to get enough capital to have a volume of wells that we could drill. We have 75 million sitting on our balance sheet. We have no debt. And Blackbird right now has 120 sections gross and 103.9 sections net. So 103 net, 103.9 net to Blackbird. Gross means that we're non-operating in 2 areas, which I'll talk about. So we have a large land mass.
What does it mean on drill inventories?
Drilling, I can't, drilling inventory varies between whether we go 4 wells per interval or 6 wells or 8, or as in Canada's talked about, even right beside us going 12 wells per interval, and we see 4 intervals on our land. What this means, though, on the capital side is I have sufficiency to drill 15 wells this year, 12 directly operated by Blackbird, 3 non-operated.
Is this 3 what you also put in the press release, that the 3 are non-operating wells?
Yes. To the north.
That was my frustration a little bit. I think these non-operation wells are very positive news releases and going absolutely nobody was interested in this non-operating well. Then everybody talks about this problems with the 2 wells.
Well, we have these areas where we pooled one section to the north with a company, very well run company, and they approached us and said, look, could we pool some land with you? And we said yes. And we were originally going to spend about 6.5 to 7 million on this well. And they came and said, look, we'd like to pool it. We're probably going to end up spending about 1.8 million. That well will not go on production for at least 2 years. So this is just good business to pool 2 sections, 1 section from them, 1 section from us, and we got our well, which will validate and delineate that northern portion. To the south, I bought a lot of land from a company called Paramount. They took my stock, and that land was actually operated by a small private company. They're going to drill 2 wells. Those wells are going to delineate to the southeast of us. So we picked up 3 wells that won't even cost me the cost of 1 single well, and I'm getting a look at all 3 of these wells to give me delineation.
So that means this one well what you pool with the other company, it's still 2 years then offline, then
Yes.
it's not possible that bring it online.
No, because there's no pipelines to it.
No pipeline. But in the other 2 ones, is this possible that bring you
They
online?
could be brought online. They will either be brought into our system or into the private company's system. We haven't established which system they would roll through. We're still in the delineation, but the nice thing about this is Blackbird gets to participate and watch the success of these wells on completion and then assess how intensely we would want to complete, because we have land directly north of it. So this is very good. In addition, what we said in the news release, we have the ability to drill 9 more development wells, 3 more delineation wells, 12 wells within Blackbird, and guess what? We're starting our next development well in June. We've locked up a rig for actually probably 12 wells. We've actually bought the casing for the 12 wells already locked up. So we're in very, very good shape for cost control.
So for my better understanding, also for the better understanding of the people, these 9 development wells are wells that you bring online on production, then it's a development, and how do you call it?
Delineation wells. These will be wells likely that we drill north of the Wapiti.
Yeah.
We'll actually step out and use those as being delineation for the resource.
So that's mean you qualify or the resource that is there,
Yeah.
but you cannot use it. You cannot production. Then there is no pipeline.
Well, those delineation wells won't be tied in right away. That's why we call them delineation wells. They actually kind of sit in inventory.
But it's very important that you prove up
Totally.
the project. So that, for my better understanding, and hopefully
So here in the history of Blackbird, the innovative Blackbird that's built its whole land portfolio through innovation, drilled with innovation, completed with innovation, never in the history of Blackbird are we going to go into a 12 to 16 month period and drill 15 wells. That's what's coming up.
innovation, and you say also innovation of buying land. Can you say how much normally your cost per section is on your land package?
I can.
Or is it confident?
No, it's you could actually figure it out if you actually went through our management discussion memorandum. You'd be able to figure it out. Blackbird has now 120 sections gross, 103.9 net, and we've spent about 19 million. Okay?
So it's 190 per section.
190,000 per section.
Per
Okay? And we talked earlier that a very well-run company, just 2 miles to the west of us, bought 11 3/4 sections 2 years ago and paid 35 million, 3.3 million a section. So there's your correlation. Okay? And what they actually say is that block, which is 2 miles directly beside the wells that we've already completed, just 2 miles over, 2-3 miles. They said that 11 3/4 sections could go, with 100 million investment, they could get it producing about 10,000 BOE a day for 10 years. That's an asset, whether it be at 60,000 a flowing barrel or 120,000, would probably be worth, at those kind of variables, $600 to $1.2 billion asset. So give you scale. We've bought our land package very, very cost effectively. Remembering, I use 5 shell companies. I've done a number of techniques, truly innovative, to get a contiguous package of land in what we believe, and is what Can is talking about, one of the premier resource plays in all of North America is right here.
Garth, I think it was a great update. Next time I come over in the fall, hopefully we have time to do it again, and hopefully then we're coming up with not better news, in the term that the share price should be perform a little bit better in the few weeks ago.
But can I just jump in?
Sure.
I think it's not going to be fall when we speak. Let's be a little bit optimistic. I think we're going to be doing a Skype call.
Okay.
I think that we will be doing a Skype call before summer's over.
Okay.
And we'll be doing some good updates for you prior to the summer being done.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. Well, we cannot talk about, but
we have capital, so therefore we have things coming.
Okay, sounds great. Ja, also als erstes einmal zum Problem. Also bei diesem Technologie, die sie verwendet haben, ich kann es jetzt nicht genau 100% erklären, aber wie wir schon in unserer Diskussion eigentlich, also im SC-Talk besprochen haben, das Material war nicht hart genug, dass es den Druck, der reingepresst worden ist, standgehalten ist, und es hat teilweise Erosion dort gegeben, also Abreibungen, und dadurch hat es diese Probleme gegeben. Das ist nichts, was jetzt nicht geklärt werden kann. Sie gehen davon aus, dass die Kosten ungefähr 4,5 Millionen $, sind. Das ist sozusagen eine Recompletion, ist eine Überarbeitung des Bohrloches, und dann läuft das Bohrloch eigentlich genauso, wie es sein soll. Das heißt auch nicht, dass es jetzt nicht teilweise funktioniert, aber es macht heute relativ wenig Sinn, wenn nur 15-20% des Bohrloches so funktioniert, wie es funktionieren soll, und daher ist es besser, man überarbeitet das Ganze. 4,5 Millionen wird das Ganze kosten, 100 Millionen ist die Marktkapitalisierung gefallen. Man muss sich natürlich fragen, wer hat das Ganze gekauft, er hat es auch gesagt. Er geht davon aus, dass sehr viele Retail rausgegangen sind, aber Institution reingekommen ist. Was auch in dieser News drinnen war, ist, also das Ganze noch mehr abzuschließen, 4,5 Millionen Schaden zu 100 Millionen Marktkapitalisierung, was verloren hat. Ändert nichts dran, das Projekt ist, das ganze Feld ist sehr produktiv, da hat es überhaupt nichts geändert, und was auch ganz wichtig ist, er hat heute mittlerweile 120 Sektionen, die ihm gehören dort, und 103,9% gehören ihm direkt, also zurechenbar zu ihm. Dann, was auch wichtig war in dieser News, er hat 3 Bohrungen bekannt gegeben, die nicht, wo er nicht der Operator ist, sondern nur Working Interest haben. Das ist auch ganz wichtig zu verstehen, denn er kriegt diese 3 Bohrlöcher für Kosten von einem Bohrloch. Und das sind vor allem auch Bohrlöcher, die das Feld bestätigen. Sie müssen Bohrlöcher reinbohren. Er hat es auch so schön gesagt mit Development-Bohrlöcher. Diese Development-Bohrlöcher sind schon Bohrlöcher, die dann auch angeschlossen werden, wo eine Produktion stattfindet. Die anderen Bohrlöcher sind Bohrlöcher, die das Feld, den Ressourcenplay bestätigen, die noch nicht teilweise angeschlossen werden können, weil halt einfach ein Pipeline-System dort noch nicht besteht. Warum macht er das Ganze? Ja, sie haben ja auch teilweise Verpflichtungen, dort Geld zu investieren, und würden sie das nicht tun, würde er das Recht an diesem Land verlieren. Deswegen muss er das teilweise dort machen, um diese Felder auch rundherum zu bestätigen. Und das ist extrem wichtig. Und sozusagen hat er sich dort damit auch Kosten gespart und vor allem auch dieses Working Interests eben eingegangen, und er kann sich voll konzentrieren auf seine Bohrlöcher, die er bohren will. 9 Bohrlöcher sind Development-Bohrlöcher, 3 sind solche Bestätigungsbohrlöcher, sage ich jetzt einmal. Und diese 9 Development-Bohrlöcher will er in den nächsten 12 bis 15 Monate bohren. Und das ist eigentlich das ganz Spannende dran. Wir haben dann auch noch gesprochen über, was haben denn ihm diese 103,9 Sektionen ihm gekostet. Und wenn man das durchrechnet, weil die Kosten für die ganzen Akquisitionen liegen bei ungefähr 19 Millionen, wenn man das durchrechnet, bei 103 Sektionen sind das ungefähr $190.000 pro Sektion. Er hat auch noch gesagt, vor 2 Jahren hat eine Firma, die 2 Kilometer oder 2 Meilen, das ist ein bisschen mehr, das sind 3 Kilometer, neben Erna liegen, haben 11 Sektionen für 35 Millionen gekauft. Das heißt, die haben über 3 Millionen pro Sektion bezahlt, er 190. Da kommt der große Wert eigentlich von dem ganzen Projekt heraus. Und ganz spannend war es, wo ich gesagt habe, ja, das nächste Interview machen wir im Herbst, sagt er glaubt nicht, er glaubt, dass wir noch vor dem Sommer ein Interview machen, weil es irrsinnig interessante Entwicklungen gibt und dass wir das dann über ein Skype-Interview sozusagen abhandeln. Bin gespannt, welche Entwicklung das ist, wir werden es sehen, aber es ist im Prinzip soweit, sage ich mal, eigentlich in Ordnung, und da können wir jetzt wirklich gespannt sein, was die Aktie uns in der nächsten Zeit an Performance bringt. Das war's von Garth Braun, Blackbird Energy, Mai 2017, Vancouver. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you, Garth.
Thanks.